Okay, welcome everyone. We are back. We are going again. I'm going to do a bunch more material design and Xaml stuff. Not sure where we're going to go completely. There are some outstanding pull requests. I think I caught up on a lot of the remaining issues, but might be worth poking at some of those. Might do some more of my UI testing stuff. But more importantly, tonight I brought somebody along for the ride because he was willing. So I have my coworker Kenny with me tonight. You can say hi, Kenny, and be
Howdy.
happy. So he is. Oh, dang it! Hang on one second. This is going to bother me. The NDI source is significantly delayed, and that is going to bother me. So I am just going to take your window, and I am going to put you on the screen because for whatever reason I do not understand why the NDI source is delayed so much. So, and don't worry if you see his mouth moving and don't hear audio from him. Kenny likes to use his own mute button and occasionally uses it too much.
It's better than listening to me breathe into the mic.
Uh, Not disagreeing. So, because I didn't warn him I was going to do this, I get to give him an intro. Kenny is one of my coworkers. He at one point in time, many years ago, he was a student of mine when I taught at the university. He has since gotten significantly more advanced in his skill set, and he said he would be willing when I said, "Hey, you want to jump on my stream and do something together?" So he'll, if nothing else, keep me on track. That's the goal.
Willing's a pretty low bar, but we'll go with it.
Hey, now the better question: did you acquire a Mountain Dew prior to the stream?
I did not.
Because I've got
However,
my
I
Mountain Dew in
acquired
a goblet.
water.
Water. You
It's
are
the stuff
clearly an
found
amateur at this. Here, I don't know if you saw last week's stream. I have. Let's see if I can get this right. So it's my C sharp goblet with Mountain Dew in it.
I was about to ask if it was like somewhere between a wine glass, but I think goblet fits correctly.
Goblet is correct. My wife and I did one of those painting things one night, and I mean, what else do you paint when you've got C sharp on the brain? A goblet with C sharp. Okay, so material design and XAML issues. We will start at the top and just start walking through these. So once again, thank you everybody who has been contributing pull requests. This is awesome. So let's see here. So fix for date picker with floating hint style, top margin, padding. I think adding issue link. So for those people, if you put the issue number in the title, that's great. I can read it, but just be aware that doesn't auto link anything. It doesn't automatically link it inside of GitHub. So this will actually put a link all the way back to the other one. Hey, comment. There we go. And so now if we go to this issue, we should see a link to this PR show up and vice versa. So now these guys will be linked. The other nice bit, if people want to do it, if you put the words, what is it, fixed, resolves. There's several keywords in GitHub that if you type that and then the issue number, when the thing merges, it'll get automatically fixed. So let's just take a quick peek. This is fairly simple and straightforward. The hint assist is floating, changes the margin from 12 or from 12 to 18. That sounds simple. Let's go and look at it. Okay, everybody's favorite Get Kraken because Get Kraken is awesome. Oh boy, sorry. I'm feeling like it's one of those. I feel like I've got a sneeze coming, and so we're gonna see. Don't worry, I've got a mute button too. I just don't use it as much as you. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up my master and then open this pull request, and it is erroring for some reason. Could not find ref to check out. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me.
This is the full development experience, by the way, troubleshooting.
I do not understand. Okay, so what is going on here? Because I can clearly see the remote, and more importantly, it exists on GitHub. I'm wondering if there's something about... Okay, I kind of want to look at this just for a minute. because I can click on it, right? I can go to it. It's not like it's been marked private or anything, right? Like I'm on the right fork. Sometimes. Okay, so we're going to try something even more fun then. I have installed, what is it? Is it Hub? Yes. Okay, magical show-off point. So, because GitHub released the CLI, right? But then Hub has been around for a while and has more features, and I believe this will let me jump to a pull request if I'm not mistaken. Start working, clone int, fetch pull. No. Just issue pull request. Open a pull request on Git. Hold on. That does not look.
That doesn't sound like quite what you're looking for.
Yeah, that does seem wrong. Why did? This worries me too. File does. I do find it interesting that something managed to do double .exe on the end of that. Okay, so new strategy. Given that the diff is literally right there in front of me, here's what we do.
You're gonna go implement your own code, steal the credit.
No, we're gonna bring this guy in. Enhancement or bug? I'm trying to decide. I feel like it's not necessarily. There's nothing in the spec that's overly detailed. See, this is the problem. So the material design spec isn't always exact enough for WPF. So here, but this is a fairly benign change. So squash merge, and then the way I check out the pull request is I go to master, right? Pull. Poof. Then I switch to master. Hey, look, I got it. Okay, so let's go and take a quick peek-see at this guy. Full development experience, I think, is the word you used earlier.
We're well on our way.
Okay, we're going to just try the whole recompile and pull it out and start over. Oh, so something I learned, was it yesterday, earlier today, recently, is if you are running into performance problems with your analyzer, and I think I shared this with you, Kenny, right? Analyze. You can come inside, so text editor, C# advanced. You can choose how often you want your analyzers running. So if you've got like a whole bunch of analyzers, like the FX Cop and Roslinator and all those guys running, you probably don't, and a big solution, you probably don't want this last radio button checked. Current document or open document means it doesn't have to run on nearly as much stuff, especially if you've got nice, small, reasonably sized files. And I'm not sure when this set of options was added, and I'm not sure what the default is, but this is what mine is, and I don't recall ever touching it, so this might be default. No promises. I haven't reset settings to know for sure. Okay. Since we're batting 1,000 here, let me... Okay. So we want to go look at... Oh, I forgot we have these buttons now. Yes. A nice user decided to go through and save me some effort. So you can either click here and kind of go through this, or you can just start going click, 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 forward and back until you find what you need. Very handy if you want to hit one of the early ones. But I think in our case, we are looking for pickers. So what I'm mostly interested in is making sure that these floating hints are still working. Alright, so pick a future date, that's fine. I see no problem with these. Aside from these things are being really hard to read. So this is one of the things, this is one thing that's been bothering me about the color themes, is that I now have code in my UI testing library to detect when you have a bad color theme. Because I don't know about you, but that hint is really hard to read.
Correct.
And the unfortunate part is it looks fine if you go and say, like, so here, right? If I go and explicitly go light theme, right? The app is unfortunately being smart now and picking up if your Windows is in dark theme, and it'll automatically flip. So that's a new feature in latest version. Yay.
It's better than Skype already.
See, it will at least. So if you're on Windows 10, and it can detect if you're in dark theme, it'll flip it. The key kicker there though is there gets to be a bit of a gray area if you've got like the high contrast stuff turned on. But again, so we'll get to that. There's a future stream where we might go through and implement color offsets for color blindness. I've got a buddy who is trying to think, possibly legally blind, significant eye vision problems, right? Not necessarily colorblind, but decent vision issues. The only problem is Windows has a feature coming that's in the Insider preview now where they're doing the exact same thing. So it's like, do I implement something that's going to be built into the operating system? So I'm going to say this looks great. I don't see a problem, but it'll be out in the preview builds for people who want to play with it and tell me what's broken with it. So, but I do think I want to tag this with visual breaking change. Because this is the hard part, right? When you're doing semantic versioning, what do you consider a breaking change in a theme library? Because pretty much you can't add any enhancement that's not a visual breaking change. It's very hard.
That's a good point.
So I've started, my compromise is I have a label. So if people want to know what those are, I try to make it easy to query by. So that's my my workaround for it. Okay. Let's go back. See, one pull request done. Wasn't that easy?
It was the easiest, yes.
Okay, fix combo box location. So start with the bug. So there is a bug. And we have, okay, so this one is fun, right? I don't know if you can see this. So it's 1949 if you want to pull it up. But I'll zoom way in, right? The key part, see the itty bitty little line. So
It still seems clickable. I don't see the issue.
no, well, it's not necessarily the interaction. It just looks ugly. Remember, and the point of this library is to be pretty. The whole point is pretty. Like, people don't pull in the material design library because they're looking for function usually. They're pulling it in because default WPF theming looks really dated. And
not great.
Yeah, and this is pretty. Also, when I get to the bottom of the glass or goblet, remind me to show you the inside. Because naturally, you have to paint something at the bottom of a goblet.
Ideally, yes.
So the combo boxes, though, right? So there's sort of an interesting bit on the anatomy of it, right? So a combo box, technically, when you if it's editable, when you click on it, right, the pop-up comes up to the drop-down shows, right? But then you're allowed to type into this box. And the problem is the spec calls for effectively the pop-up to wrap that text box. Now here's the weird part, though, is we don't actually lift that text box into the pop-up. Instead, what we do is we push the, or we cut a hole in the pop-up and try to show through to the text box. So effectively, when this type of bug happens, it's usually pixel rounding and brings things through. And I saw something in chat, and I need to go and look. I'm sorry, I think it's Raja. I am afraid I do not know what that is. So effectively, I think this bug is likely pixel rounding and that kind of thing. So, and this is actually a lot worse if people do custom backgrounds. It gets to be really obvious, right? If you set the background of whatever this container is to like red, then you see a red line showing through. It usually looks ugly. I need this. Kenny, you went bye-bye. Did you mean to? Oh, there you are.
No, I've the full call experience.
Okay, so find the location of the pop-up, set horizontal offset to 0, and use only the newly added relative horizontal pop-up property. Hold on. Fixes clear button is a bit bigger than text block. I assume this means text box because we don't have a clear button in a text block. Specifies the background color at the bottom of the pop-up content up template. Ooh, this might be interesting. I keep wanting to go and revisit the combo box because of this hole cutting problem. It's been a repeated problem. Unfortunately, may not work when DPI is greater than 100%. Oh, okay. Let's take a look. So
It's kind of unfortunate because that's almost a default with some monitors.
yeah, and
I think my laptop runs at 125 by default, 125%.
Yeah, same with my work machine too. Is it's 125, and so I try to go through and test stuff on it. I'm hoping to go through the Appium tests for the WinApp driver. You can actually change your DPI when you're running.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so inside of the hosted agents, they actually give you that control. So this is just a new dependency property. I don't necessarily see anything that bothers me in here, though I'm curious as to the necessity of it. Okay, visible placement width. See, this doesn't shock me that flow direction is a problem, right? Because default WPF flow direction is usually left to right, except it's culture dependent. So you can imagine how many, as soon as you get in a right to left culture, your layout then looks horrible. Okay, so what did we end up doing here? So we're using pop-up location. This may not, so the DPI may not matter. So in a lot of cases though, WPF uses device independent pixels. So unless you go to something that actually gets to quote unquote real pixels, right? You're fine.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. So it's worth noting too. So classic mode, basically that whole behavior that I was just describing with the combo box where the pop-up sort of wraps the text box, that goes away in classic mode. It's just a pop-up down below, which is usually a quick and easy workaround if you don't care about being strict on the material design spec. Get positioning element. DPI helper. See, but this is where we start getting down into real mode pixels. See, I'm not sure why he thought it wouldn't work with device independent pixels, because this is transform to device X. This looks like what I would expect. Math truncate, offset X. What am I missing? This method here we can likely optimize because math.round is a thing. I'm trying to think of why this would differ. The only thing that's different about this that I can see is it's truncating the value. So if value is negative, hold on, wait. If value is negative,
I kind of dislike this. What's going on here, because it doesn't seem to be truly rounding. It seems to just be decrementing or incrementing, like with a hard set value, as opposed to using math.round, like you said.
Yeah, it's like so. Because it does feel like we can replace it with a math floor or ceiling,
Yeah,
and then probably
misleading,
around
at least the method name here.
I can get on board with that. Okay, so pop up real offset X changes here. See, part of me almost wants to take a stab at this combo box because all of this comes because we're trying to cut a hole to show through to a text box. And part of me wants to just solve this problem by eliminating that hole cutting and just lift the text box straight up into the pop-up. Be done with it. It feels like it would be so much less problematic and we wouldn't have all these rounding errors and positioning errors because we spend so much time trying to get this pop-up positioned exactly right so that the hole perfectly lines up with the text box.
So you're thinking this might be the solution to the wrong problem, basically.
Yeah, I'm thinking that like this is not the first one that this has bitten us on. So the other thing that interests me is this background setter. More importantly, because if this is done here, I'm going to back out. That's a little zoomed in for me. I want to see there because there's multiple. Because this is done in the combo box up template, but there's combo box down template too, right? And I think if I just click here, yeah. So I'm a little curious. I would have expected to see similar changes in both places. See, and this doesn't surprise me here, right? Like this makes perfect sense. Anytime you do point pixels, right, you're asking for subpixel rendering or positioning, and rounding errors will occur because at some point in time a pixel has to be drawn. Yes, lots of WPF. I'm somewhat tempted to just take a stab at fixing this differently. Doing good. Remind me. So hold on. I should know the screen name. Hang on. Let me think.
You should know everyone's first name and their screen name.
Well, hang on. I'm thinking Robert. Am I right? Am I close? I referenced you earlier. If so, yes. How you doing, Robert? Feels good to be right. I do. So okay. I'm almost wondering, okay, so this is the last PR that we had in here, and I'm somewhat tempted to hold on this one for a minute because it does feel like the solution to the wrong problem. I'm also curious about, hang on, so click, click, click. Maybe I missed it. There must be a clear button change in here somewhere that I missed. Clear button. Oh, there it is. So let's see. Left, top, right. So rather than being a -6, it's a -1. So it's a little fatter on the right. Okay. This is something a lot of people forget that's valid in WPF. Things like padding and margin, negative values are totally legit. It feels wrong when you think about padding and margin that you can go negative, but sometimes, like, specifically when people are doing icons, because the icons in this library are all vector based, so paths, and even though the size of the container may stay the same, because the pathing data, I don't control it. That comes from the material design icons library. Some icons physically don't line up right, and so sometimes, depending on which icon you pick, you got to kind of tweak your padding or margin by sometimes negative values to make them line up straight. Okay, I'm thinking this one might need. Okay, let's just give it a. So, first things first, before I get too carried away. Okay, I'm restarting Get Kraken because right now it is not behaving, and it normally behaves.
It's been a struggle with it for me the last month or so. Just dropping OAuth tokens and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yes, check for updates. Please tell me there's an update. Could not find ref to check out. What? I don't know what you think. What? Grumble, grumble, grumble. Hang on. I remember there was a trick here. Oh, I remember. Hang on. I think this is the problem. I think
this is the problem. Are you fetching the wrong remote?
No. If you hold on, I bet you this works now. Yes, it works. That's the bug. Is Get Kraken a sponsor? I wish, Cameron. I wish. No. So here is the bug, and this I should report. Hang on, Kenny. You're gonna sit over here for a minute because I need this side. Here's the bug. So I'm gonna go back to master and prove what's happening. Right. So delete my local. Delete. Right. Okay. So here's the key thing to note. So the author of right here. I'm not even going to try the name, but BOM is what it starts with. You with me?
With you
Okay.
so far.
So you'll note he's done, or I guess he or she, I don't know for sure, has done multiple PRs before, right? So because I've opened up their PRs before, I've Gitkraken has conveniently added a remote. And a lot of times just to clean stuff up, I might just do this, right? And hide things. Here's the problem. If you hide it and you try to open it, you get made to look like a fool. What the heck?
Maybe it's because you just opened that
But I
branch
deleted the
already.
branch.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but
Hmm.
uh,
This is, by the way, the full demonstration experience.
yes, this is how you guys can tell that my demos aren't pre-canned because very few people make up demos that make them look like idiots. Okay, so I'm curious to take a look at this, right? Let's see. Let's see. At some point, I need to find a better app to pull people in on my stream with. Skype is fine, but I feel like better options have to exist, right?
I can help you eliminate chat applications if you want, starting with Teams.
Well, so I was mildly hopeful about Teams because they are adding in NDI support. That was on their roadmap, so I don't know when it's coming, but it was on the roadmap, which made me happy. The problem being that I have a sinking suspicion it'll be the same NDI support that Skype has, which I have little hope won't have the same lag problems. Because the fact that I can drag your window over here and get one set of latency versus my NDI source, which gets a very obvious set of latency, is horrible. Like, at least when you talk on these previews, your voice and your video roughly line up. Right? I'm sure if somebody wanted to go frame by frame, they could pick on it, but okay, combo boxes. Something about combo boxes. Combo boxes. Boom. Yeah, did you know the nice little filter box? Not my doing. Some nice soul decided to add it for me, which was wonderful, and I have loved this feature, and now that we have it, I question my sanity in not having it. So here's the problem is I don't know of a good way to validate this, right? How would one validate it? Oh, do I even have, hang on. Oh, I don't. I need to add that to my startup script. Hang on one second. I do not have Karnak running. Hoo-yah. There we go. Because the other thing that scares me is if I bring the window down near the bottom right and I pop it. The thing is, it appears to work. So I'm somewhat, I'm torn, right? Do you put it in? Where do we have any of these that show off the clear button? We show the suffix. So here's classic mode right here, right? So pop-up just shows up below it, so you can turn it off. Whether you want to display the item in the drop-down so you see Apple versus no Apple. All right, so you turn that on and off. Huzzah! The other thing that gets really bad with this dark background is I can hardly see my preview buttons. They are horrible, 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 horrible. Which is why I want to, my goal when I get my UI library working is to have the color themes adapt, right? I would love it so obviously I'll let people set whatever colors they want, and because if you want to hang yourself, I will give you that much rope. But then, well, that's nice to have that. Okay, so one, we've got an issue here in that my demo app doesn't show off a feature that is enabled inside the combo boxes. We need to put it in. Okay, which one of these things needs a clear button? Kind of tempted to put it on this one. Let's do it. Let's see. So that is the one with iOS. So they all need more features. Hang on. I'm noticing. Why is my must fix? My chat is getting cut off. There. Lock. There we go. Sorry, I do not know why my chat was offset. Okay. You know, Robert, at some point I'm going to drag you on this stream too. Because the fact that you are ahead of me in time zone and stay up this late is ridiculous. Let's see. Color zone assist. And how does one... Oh, right. Oh, wait, there is a clear button. This guy here. Hold on, something's wrong. Why did I not? So, next question. Why did I not see a clear button? Oh, there it is. There it is. So it does show up. Okay. See? I don't even need it. Cool. That works. Okay, so... Okay, now I want to go back to this code because there's clearly not a bug here, but I'm torn though, right? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Evaluation required, because I can't really do it here on this computer. I need to pull it on my other machine to test the DPI. And me working on another machine makes for very bad streaming content. So I think I'm just going to put evaluation required and leave it there for now. Because I think I need to test on more DPIs. On more DPIs. Let's see if anyone interested. Please post results here. Okay. Boom. I think that catches up. I think I'm going to go and comment on this one here. The problem that I have with the implementation here is if you just tab through the controls, you end up with a whole bunch of pop-ups, and that just feels like something. That feels like a bug. I would rather the tabbing not pop the pop-ups, which is existing behavior. I feel like that's less of a bug than having a bunch of pop-ups. Ooh. There you go, Kenny.
What's the bottom of this goblet? An exclamation?
Yeah. It's a little Visual Studio Air icon. Which
I should recognize it.
There's an error. Goblet empty. Stand by. Don't worry. I've got a 2-liter next to me. We will fix the empty goblet problem.
How do you sleep at night with caffeine running through your veins like this?
You have the mistaken impression that caffeine keeps me awake at night. I don't think it actually does. I'm pretty sure I've built up a small immunity to it. Though there have been times. Or that he sleeps. Thanks, Robert. I do sleep at some point. Okay. So, where should we go next, Kenny? We got options, right? I got combo box.
Do you still have this substantial PR waiting for us? I say substantial because 31 comments indicates to me that there might be quite a bit going on here.
Yes. The thing is so there was a stream a couple weeks ago where I took a stab at trying to clean this up and fix it. So, I saw the poor minivan overflowing with Mountain Dew. Robert is alluding to a picture I posted at one point in time. There was a sale on Mountain Dew, so naturally, what do? You fill the back of the car with Mountain Dew. I don't understand. I will point out, for people who care, a standard American shopping cart only holds about 41 2-liters, and then you need another cart. Don't ask me how I know that. Also, once you get to that third cart, you realize you only have 2 hands, and it's really hard. Bring friends. There was one time where Albertsons put Mountain Dew on sale. What was it? It was something ridiculous. I think it was like 31 cents a 2-liter.
Naturally, you would have to buy
And they
carts.
put no cap on the sale. So what did me and my roommates do? We emptied the store. How many carts until it's considered a problem? That depends on who you ask, Robert. My wife, 1. My former roommates, I don't know, 7, 8. Because we did learn that there is a problem that even if you have 5 guys, there is a certain amount of Mountain Dew that you should not buy because it will go bad after somewhere in the order of 9 to 11 months, despite what the expirations say. And so you do need to make sure that you consume it in that period of time. Yeah, so the idea with this one is that as you're tabbing through the pop-up boxes, that it would automatically, that there would be an open when focus lands on the pop-up box. So the pop-up box control is something special in this library. It's basically a fancy toggle button pop-up combo, right? That's all it is. It's just a like if people, because I've seen people ask for various features with it. It's like, you guys realize it's just a toggle button and a pop-up. It's not that fancy, right? You can build your own version very easily. And so the idea being that if there's an easy switch, if you tab into that toggle button, it automatically opens the pop-up. The problem comes is, what do you do with keyboard focus at that point? Do you move keyboard focus inside of the pop-up control, which means if you hit tab again, you're now tabbing through the items inside the pop-up, or do you leave it at the toggle button and let it keep moving across? Regardless of your decision, the pop-up is still a second lightweight window, so you've effectively changed your focus window when you do that. And right now, the problem being that this thing doesn't close the pop-up when you tab away, because obviously if you're tabbing through the controls, you wouldn't expect it to go open, 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 open. You'd sort of hoping that it would go open, tab, close, open the next one, and it doesn't do that. So I took a stab at trying to address it, but the focus scope gets really hard, and I don't know if there's going to be a clean solution, which is part of why this is hanging out here. So, is the lack of a potential of a clean solution, because I don't know how to functionally implement it. Anyway, so I've got some other ones that were sitting over here very intentionally holding because they're breaking API changes for the 4.0 release. And yeah, so at some point in time, I need to kick this so I can get those 4.0 stuff out. And away we go.
Fair enough.
I'm trying to remember why I'm trying to remember why this one's still sitting here. Let's look at this. I don't remember. Let's see. Oh right, I had reviewed that, and there was new changes. Right, this ended up being a problem with the pop-up functioning appropriately, so we ended up punting for a little bit. That one may end up... There's some ideas that get tried that end up not necessarily working great, and at a certain point I just have to go through and close them. This is one that I've left open because I don't think this one's merging, but this idea has been requested enough times that it'll be useful. Okay, since you are lacking in decision-making power, I will make...
I'm just here for the ride, I think.
No. Emotional support.
Cameron sent me a message asking if I was just here for the witty banter, and I said yes. That's about my extent of contributions to WPF.
Oh, come on. Okay, so you're about to get a crash course in XAML loading. So I'm gonna rebase my visual tree stuff. Oh, dear heavens. Nope, nope, nope. Do not mean to do that. Reset local. Move the local branch. Okay, let's try this again. We're gonna switch branches. We're gonna rebase visual tree testing on top of master. What?
Did you just merge instead of rebase?
Undo button. Let's try this again. Rebase visual tree testing onto hold on. Why do you have unstaged changes now? Okay, Visual Studio needs to close. Yeah, ignore. Just, I would like you to shut down, please. Also, the preview version of 2019, I don't know what it is. It feels a lot faster. I don't know if they put in some performance time stuff into it, but it does have a very snappier. Like I've been using the preview for most of my stuff, and it's been pretty solid. I'm sure people who've watched some of my other videos have noticed there are bugs, but most of the bugs, I don't think I've encountered anything that wasn't resolved by a quick restart, and the restart speed is significantly faster than the regular one, so it's like, eh. And I know you're a writer user. I get it.
I was gonna say one of my favorite things to do is double click on something like a JSON file, and for whatever reason, Visual Studio is registered as the default application, and I gotta wait like 20 seconds before I can close it.
Okay.
So if 2019 preview is faster, I might actually give it a whirl.
Yeah, it is. It is significantly better. The one thing I'm a little scared to do is uninstall 2019 regular. I know they're supposed to install side by side and not conflict with each other, but I've had bad experiences in the past where you go to uninstall one version of Visual Studio and then all of a sudden some dependent tool goes haywire because it's like, my world just ended. It's like, it's not hurting anything. I've got the hard drive space. Just stay there. Just don't get in the way. Okay, so rebased, and at some point I'm going to start squashing stuff because this line is getting long. Okay, so update, full solution. So for those people who missed the obvious change, so one thing that I snuck into the material design library kind of subtly is I renamed the solution file. I expected to get a lot of people yelling when I did that, and that didn't happen, which kind of shocked me. So before, the solution file was named Material Design Toolkit.wpf.sln, right? And you'll note there's now this slnf. This is a solution filter. And now the thing that contains everything is this. And the only difference between them is the full one contains the UI tests on top of it, which requires you to have like the WinApp driver and all that jazz installed. So if you don't want that, just load the solution, the filtered one, and it'll take you back to effectively where you were. Okay, so my UI testing library. So for those people who may not have seen some of my other streams where I've been working on this, I have come to the conclusion that there is a lack in testing libraries when it comes to WPF specifically, and I'm going to caveat, this is very targeted at people who build custom controls and themes. This is not something I would anticipate a general, app developer needing, and that kind of thing. Like this is not a replacement for UI testing, right? This is testing something different. But the problem that I have with this material design library is a significant period of the code is Xaml, which you can't unit test. You can UI test it, but the UI tests don't let you watch the elements in the visual tree like you get with like Snoop or the live visual tree. They only give you kind of this high level user interaction view of your app, which is fine for app developers. But in our case, I want to do things like, darn it, let me make sure that my button's background color is pink or fuchsia. Fuchsia is the good test color, right? And so that's what this library aims to do. I don't like the name of it. It's not likely to be checked into the material design project directly. It's just in here because it's convenient. And this will likely migrate itself into its own NuGet package at some point in time. So currently, it was built on Appium. I got going on it and realized I'm using Appium for a grand total of two things. One, starting a process. That does not seem like a complicated process, pun intended, right? Two, moving the mouse and typing things. Also, not that hard to do. And more importantly, the Appium stuff, to move the mouse cursor to the right coordinates, we had to do some hacktastic stuff with the windows to move things around, which led me to the conclusion of, why am I using Appium in the first place? Let's drop Appium. So I did, or at least that's the goal. So I will show you what I have started doing, because I started rewriting some of these tests. Because ultimately, I don't think UI testing lines up well with a theme library. I don't think it goes well. What are your thoughts on Uno? Great question. So Uno looks sweet and awesome, and actually, I've had some people want to go through and build out Uno support inside of this library, which I would be happy to help people contribute to. I don't think I have necessarily the time to devote porting all of this, but if people want to submit pull requests for it, I would be happy to do so. Uno looks really cool, but the first time we looked at adding Uno support like a year ago, they lacked custom styles, which is kind of a big deal when your library is around styling. So that was a problem. But there was an outstanding pull request to bring those in. One of the guys who was wanting to add material design support actually contributed to that pull request. So great to see that merged in. So they now have, as far as I'm aware, there's no limitation that would stop us from adding support for it. At least not at this point. The next thing I plan on adding support for is WinUI 3 though, and then circle back around to Uno. But Uno does look really cool. The other fun thing is the Uno project apparently, so the feature that you saw in the demo app where you can click the little button and see the preview of the Xaml. So that's one of my own libraries called Show Me the Xaml. It's ironic how often I see it used on GitHub because it's not, again, it's a very targeted use case of it's built around people who produce XAML-y things that want to share their XAML with people. So you can't really see it, but there's a preview button here. And if you click it, you can then get a nice view of your XAML. Because usually when you have a demo app, people's very next question is, ooh, that looks pretty. How do I put it in my app? And so the Uno project actually forked Show Me the XAML. I messaged them on Twitter, and they replied back that, yes, they were in fact evaluating it for use in some of their stuff, which I think means because they had just recently merged the styling PR in, that perhaps they are looking at building a demo that does something similar. Great. I think it's cool. At some point in time, I do want to port the Show Me the XAML stuff to using source generators from the new C# 9 stuff. But we took a stab at that on preview 2, and we discovered all the ways that won't work. So good news, I chatted with some of the Microsoft people. Some of the issues were known, and I was told, please retry on the latest preview and let us know if there's still issues. Yeah. Oh, that's right. You were there, Robert. I think your comment was, dear heavens, what are you doing to that poor innocent CS proj or something like that? Because I did kind of cobble some Frankenstein project stuff together. Okay, anyway, so testing. So this button test, right? The previous thing was very simple. All it did is insert abomination. That was the word. Kenny, your video went bye-bye, by the way. I'm not sure.
I blame Skype. I haven't done anything on my end.
Oh. Skype, you are awesome. I like how it... Well, at least if I do... So apparently I shouldn't... The problem is if I maximize or restore the window on the other side, it takes away the little preview down here. And yeah, okay, whatever. I'm going to just assume it'll come back at some point. So this test here previously was firing up this UI test cases app, and it was literally just loading up this generic control, which is an empty user control. So literally not doing anything fancy whatsoever. It was then injecting this little bit of XAML into it and confirming that the background color of the default background color of a button did in fact match what we expected from our theme. Huzzah, right? And so I thought, hey, let's take this and let's use this to do something different. So what if I didn't need this UI test cases app at all? Because I really don't care, right? All I need to run this level of testing is I need a blank UI slate, right? And dump some XAML in it. Doesn't that sound cool? You can respond too, Kenny. Otherwise, I talk to myself. And I've proven that I can talk for 2 hours on my own to myself while on mute. Not my best night. Okay, so what is this? So what is this doing now? And for reference, this test doesn't work. I'm just going to be clear. This is one of the things that I tend to do when I want to design an API is sometimes I'll just start at the top and write what is the API that I want, and then I just start beating things into submission until I get that API. So it's like, this looks pretty to me. If I could write a UI test that looks something like this, where I called load Xaml, feed it a block of Xaml, maybe pull out a theme color. This is kind of optional and specific to this test, right? Then query the button's background color and do the assertion. That seems simple. That's how easy a UI test should be. The problem comes with this load Xaml bit, right? So I added a new API to my lovely little test suite here. You're back, Kenny. Huzzah!
I don't know what I did.
Called create window, and this is where things stop working, right? So right now, create window has a whole bunch of hard coded stuff. This would not stay, right? Because I imagine that this this visual tree testing library goes away into its own NuGet package, and then I write some extension methods or similar, right, that do these same type of things with these pre-canned defaults in here. So I've literally just hard-coded. Oh, this will be a problem. I just realized I was doing this work on my other machine. My drive letters are different. That'll be fun. Hopefully I didn't hard-code too many things. This is why hard-coding is bad. Right, so it's got a list of assemblies that the app will need to reference, because it's effectively going to try and spin a brand new WPF app. Right? We're not going to recompile a new one. We're going to take an existing shell of one and then just beat it into submission. Or at least that's the game plan. I can see that smirk, Kenny.
Be interesting, yeah.
You're smirking like, oh dear heavens, what has he done? Which is the correct response, I'll point out. So the other thing that's in here is, so as part of beating an app into submission, right, there's a few other things, because you can imagine what is in this UI test cases that's actually needed, right? Like the UI is obviously simple. It's empty user control. Okay, we can generate that pretty easy. But what else has it done? Like this thing here has some references to some, in this case, projects, or as would otherwise be the case, NuGet packages, right? And in the app.xaml, it has the material design. Why did I format this so horribly? It has the resource dictionaries for material design to be able to get the themes and whatnot, right? So this sets up your colors. This pulls in the styles for the buttons and all the other default stuff, as is the name defaults, right? So that is how the button goes. So, yeah, save. Thanks. So we need something for our application resource.xaml. So I figured, why not just pass the XAML straight through as a string? Why not, right? Because what could possibly go wrong with this idea?
I was going to say, I could think of several reasons why not, but carry on.
Several reasons. And then I was like, well, shoot, if I've got a shell of an app, does the app actually even need to contain any windows? No. Let's just pass the XAML for the windows straight through as well, too, right? And then we can build up a window with whatever we want rather than making some assumptions. Because maybe I want to test things around this app loading where I want to confirm that different, rather than using the bundled theme, maybe I want to use the custom color theme instead. Let's be able to test that. I was like, sweet. And so all of this work, right? Because this little chunk of XAML that came from the test is just button. So we get all the way back over to here and we inject it right as the content of the window. So poof, goes right there. And then we send it across. So this, gRPC protocol buffers sends things across. So then how did we get a shell of an app? So in my little VT test app thing, I was like, you know what? I'm already .NET Core. I'm already having to turn use WPF on. Let's generate an XE. Stop shaking your head. This is awesome. And I was like, okay, well that gets me pretty close. Ignore the hacktasticness that's happening down here. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, I need a main method. So there's main, right? Because WPF app needs main. Normally they generate a main for you if you have an app. So in general, for people who are unfamiliar with WPF, having this app.xaml, this will usually generate for you, right? This will generate a main. In my case, I generate my own main. Away we go. And the only reason I generate my own main is because I need to generate my own custom application class, which normally is called app, right? Because in a regular one here, if we look at the code behind, right? In general, in most WPF apps, you do have a class that derives from application so that you can do things like override, startup, and exit, which I did, right? Like, because I wanted to do the same, because this is the service that starts the gRPC server, right? So I want to be able to start my server and stop it. But you'll note I changed the shutdown mode, right? Because normally WPF will shut down on when your main window closes. And you'll note there's no main window here. This is a windowless WPF application. So when it starts, you get no GUI. This is the brilliance and or craziness. I came up with this idea late one night. Ideas late at night have mixed results, right? And so then what does the server do? So let's go look at the server and its create window method. Oh dear heavens, that's a lot of. Nope. That. Okay, what is outlining collapse all? Collapse to definitions. Control M-O. Control M-O. I have no idea why Control M. Okay. So outlining collapse to definitions. There we go. Look at that. It works like a charm. So create window. So this is where things start to get interesting. So one, I needed a way in. So debugger.launch, but we're going to actually change something here. Because I know where this thing's going to blow up, we'll just move it down to, I don't
Kevin,
know.
you have muted yourself, it appears.
Thank you. How's that? No? Testing?
You've possibly just muted the Skype call, at least.
Oh. They can hear me on stream. Apparently,
Yeah.
in my quest
I'll
to
let you know.
collapse.
Skype has this thing called global keyboard shortcuts, and so if you do something like Control E, that will drop the call, and they have a bunch of fun ones. So you might want to play with those.
I need to find a. Can I disable all of their global shortcut keys? I hope
you can in your settings.
Excellent. I would like Skype to not have global shortcut keys. That would. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
So in my
I just
quest,
want to make sure everyone else could hear you.
Yeah, apparently everyone else could hear me. I was like, I see my mic bar bouncing on OBS. I should be fine. So inside of Create Window, we come in. It does some cleanup stuff, which I'm not sure is actually going to be needed. I really have no idea how to properly load the assemblies. Specifically, let me rephrase that. I have no idea how to properly load the assemblies with the intent to unload them inside of a WPF core application. Normally, I would have gone for spinning an app domain, but app domains don't exist inside of core. You get these assembly load contexts instead, which are much easier to use, except for I have no idea how they relate to the XAML reader, which we'll get to in a minute, which is the source of my problems. So this guy comes in here, he loads up his assemblies, great. We come down here, this is where things go boom. Actually, proof is in the pudding. Let's run a test, right? Pin, and this is going to get weird because we're going to have to use two separate Visual Studio instances. And I think I really wish there was a way to say launch, do the multiple project startup while running unit tests, right? Like I want to start one of my projects and then launch a unit test with debugging. I'm sorry, what? Sorry, hold that thought. There's that. Oh, shoot, I bet you I know. Oh. Remember how I said ignore the scary happiness that's happening? I have a feeling
that you cannot ignore that any longer.
Here this will be a good demo, all right? Let me show you how you can make a console app go boom, because this took me way too long to figure out, and this is probably worth showing some people. So you'll note VT test generates an exe, and I have some Stop. I don't know what you're doing. Die. Let's see. Close you. Lost my window. So VT test generates an exe, and I'm going to open up Task Manager just to prove that I'm not a liar. And if we look inside of here, I don't know if this guy actually got it started. Probably not. So if I double click on this, you get
I did
this.
see a VT test exe in your task manager.
Say that again.
Isn't that what you're looking for? Oh, that's VS Test Console. Never
Yeah.
mind. Carry on.
Yeah, because you'll note when you go to start it, to run this application, you must install .NET Core. This took me a bit to figure out. I did not understand what was happening. So, for reference, and how... No, do not download .NET Core. We already have it installed. Because for reference, you can go through those directions and download and install .NET Core all day long. It will not fix your problem. Right? So the key thing here is I was copying, or am, right? After this project builds, I took everything from the output directory, and I just took it over and dumped it into the output directory of my UI tests, right? Just quick and dirty. I needed to get it there so that I knew where it was located so I could start it up, yada, 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 right? Because when this guy goes to start up the app, he needs to know where the process is to fire up, right? So this guy here, manage process. Here, I'll just call stack, right? So start app, right? He's passing a relative path, so he assumes that VT test exe will be on the relative path, so effectively in his output directory, right? This is, again, a bit of a hack, but I just needed it in the right location. So copy, paste, we're good. Well, not completely. So here's where it gets more interesting, right? So if we go over to the VT tests and we go to his bin and we go to his debug, because right, we're in debug configuration. We're net. I don't know why there's 2.0 still. Go away. And we go in here. You'll note if I double click on it, no error. And we come over here, and we can probably come all the way down here. And VTUV VT test. It is up and running. I have a windowless WPF app up and running, and it is working. And you can go through and compare every single DLL and exe, and you can, at an IL level, everything is identical between this guy's output directory and this guy's output directory. And so the question is, what's the difference? Here's the answer. This guy right here, this obnoxious JSON file, took me forever. If you read the docs, it is documented. But he needs some knowledge about what he is. Now, if you do a .NET publish, this is not the case, right? Because it can, package stuff together. But when you're just compiling and outputting it, that's a thing. Spent way too long. And now, more importantly, I'm a little confused. The reason this guy is failing is because these files are not being copied all the way over, and I am a little confused as to why. Because I thought I had addressed this problem. So, Kenny, you are brilliant. What have I done wrong here? Target dir star, destination folder here, target after build, rebuild.
I was going to say, did you not build?
That would be the obvious answer. Still no nothing here. I'm gonna just whack this real quick. Skip. Sure, fine. I'm gonna whack most everything out of here. Okay. Then we're gonna rebuild this, right? Because this should, just that project should dump files into here. It did not. That indicates something is wrong. It was too good to be true. Too good to be true. Okay, output. This is not useful output. So how do we debug this? We go here. Open to suggestions, by the way, but my first reaction is
More logging.
more logging. Detailed, okay. And this and solution. Actually, I'm sort of just interested in VT tests. I'm curious if, so hold on. Material Design Toolkit. Because I'm copying to the wrong directory.
I can see how that'd be a problem.
UI test cases is right. So hold on. Yeah, I'm copying in the output to the directory. Hold on. How did it get there? Because I very explicitly am putting it. Okay, no, that can't. That's a red herring. I was like, I know. Okay, so I know why it ends up here because there's a hard reference to it, which is why it ends up in his output directory. That makes sense. The other guy, it does not make sense. So output at rebuild. All right, show me a lot more output. Be a big window. Be big. Be big. Big and tall. Okay, so we search for after build. Let's see. Overriding target after build. Within target from project. Blah 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 blah. Great. So it detected our after build and it picked it up. Wonderful. That's what we expect. Wait, what? Core build, after build, build. What? Am I crazy? But shouldn't the after build come after the build?
You would think.
Well, okay, so hold
Is
on.
this a log timing issue, possibly?
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Maybe. I'm wondering if the output, if it writes this when the target completes. So let's do that. Okay, so debug logging time, right? So what is it? Echo. Sure, error will work, right? Error message, error condition. No, what's the standard out one?
I
Message.
don't know I've ever had to actually write error logs
really?
in my MS build logs.
No. You've never done printf level debugging, Kenny? Come on.
Not my MS build stuff.
You are no fun at all. Okay, so here's what we put. We put something like Kenny in, right? Because hopefully that's unique in my build process. Right? And then we grab this and we slap this guy up here. So the other key part is message importance high will show up as though it's an error. But just because you get an error in your error list has absolutely no bearing on whether your build succeeds or fails. Isn't that exciting? Same with warnings as errors. Warnings as errors doesn't apply to everything in MS Build, only to the compiler. So it all depends on who triggers it. Who? Okay, go gadget. Okay, so after targets, after build, name foo. Let's just try this. Rebuild. Because I'm a little surprised I did not see anything in here. which leads me to believe, see, now we're talking. Could not copy the file, blah, 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 because it was not found. Oh. So, okay, to copy, right? Include all the things, and then use the set of to copy. Okay, now we're at least getting somewhere. All this to get the stupid files to copy across. How do you do a? Hang on. Unless you know the answer off the top of your head, I'm open to it. But I believe I did something similar to this on AutoDI.
I believe I've done something similar to this, but it's been so long, I can't remember.
I believe I did this here because these projects have to output their stuff to multiple locations. So I believe the project files do fancy copying at the end. Copy outputs. That's pretty much what I want. Gimme. Paste. Okay, so copy outputs. So let's see. This guy's picking up a whole bunch of stuff. I think we're going to just make it easy and do star, not think too much. Destination folder is going to still be this. Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. The recursive items directory. I don't know if that's fully necessary. We're going to drop it for the moment just to see. But we might need that back. Because it might need to iterate over all of the items in this set and apply them here. I think because I'm just doing star, not star, recursive items dir is probably either unset or meaningless. Because how would the recursive directory should always just be nothing. Because there is no recursion. Well, it didn't blow up. Let's see. So search, copy, outputs. Hey, look at this. Copying file. It did all
that looks a lot more promising.
This looks like what I want. And it put it in. Great. Whacking this for now. We may end up having to do something recursive. Ultimately, this problem goes away, though, once I distribute this library as a NuGet, because then my NuGet can manage it. So, okay. Back to where we were going. Run unit test. All this so we could run a unit test without it blowing up on me. Now, in an ideal world, well, that was what was expected, just not right there. Let's see. End stack exception was thrown. Why did it not pause? So now I'm curious if I've got a stray VT test process running. No, because the only two places it should be are down below or nested underneath Visual Studio. Do I have to launch with debug? Because the debugger launch statement on the server side should catch. Oh, I wonder if because I did do something. Oh, did I get rid of the debugger launch? Well, that was dumb of me. If you get rid of your debugger launch, it will not launch a debugger. Let's try this one more time. Because it is expected to fail right now because it's failing to load the Xaml. And we will investigate as to why. There. So here's what you expect to see, right? So here's the fun part. If you install Visual Studio and Visual Studio 2019 Preview, they both show up the same in this window. I believe the second one's Preview. Oh, I was wrong. I want the other one. Dang it. I gotta wait. It's launching Visual Studio, I promise. No. Would you like to choose another? Yes. Give me a different debugger. That's what I want. Launch debugger. Please launch debugger. All I want to do is launch and catch it. Because in an ideal world, that guy remains nice and hung for me while it waits. That is not promising. Cancel. The JIT debugger has crashed. Okay, let's try this one more time. This is going to be a nice short demo.
I can tell that you've scripted this all beforehand.
Yes, definitely. Oh goody, the bug I filed on Visual Studio has now been marked as triaged. Yay. I filed a bug because if you set your font sizes really big for, like, I don't know, streaming, there's some areas where the font gets clipped. So I filed the bug, and hopefully it gets fixed. Thinking. I'm actually surprised this is going so slow because on my other machine this launches in moments.
Yeah, I was all excited because you talked up how much better the performance was, but you're not selling me right now.
I'm really struggling here. Though I will point out my other one, I was not trying to use a preview build of Visual Studio, and perhaps this is an area where it just I'm wondering if I left it in a bad state by accidentally picking the wrong one first. We're going to do the obvious thing. Kill all the things. Yeah, close the program. You do not instill... The fact that I've got multiples of these kind of just floating around doesn't really fill me with confidence, especially since I don't see the process. There they are. Die. Okay. Let's try this one more time. Your video came back. That's nice.
I think my video's been back. It's just been under the window.
Oh, really? How? I'm deeply sorry about that. I did not realize that was a thing. I thought Skype floated on top.
I'm not losing sleep over it.
Are you sure?
Not yet.
Okay, so we're going to try this one more time. This time with feeling and gusto and excitement and all of the wonderfulness that comes from a demo that works. On a positive note, we fixed a bug in my code. Because clearly my copying thing that I thought was using on the other side, I did see a whole bunch of could not copy. The file is locked by VT. Oh, so I've got a stray VT test process running somewhere that is holding on to things. Where are you? I only want to kill you. Where are you? Oh, did I invert my... There you are. I inverted my names so that it would be right near the top. That was both a smart idea and unfortunately confused the person who it was designed to help. Okay. Second time. Top debugger. First shot. It's gonna work. In moments, it will launch and it will be amazing and everyone will be surprised. And
I can't tell if you're trying to convince everyone else or convince yourself.
It should just work. It should just work. No ref exception. Thanks, Robert. The problem is I cannot say that you're wrong, given that this thing is just openly hanging. Like, the whole point of debugger launch is to launch a debugger. Okay, losing faith in my own code. I promise you, this works on the other system. It works on my mother box. I promise. End task. And kill the VT test process, which should kill the unit tests. I would hope. If it doesn't, we'll just whack VT test console. You can go down too. And the JIT debugger can die. This is frustrating. Frustrating. Okay, terminate everything. Yeah, I understand.
It was kind of like a fun experiment to see how many processes of Visual Studio you could kill while the main apps remain running.
I do not understand, why is WinApp driver running? That worries me. Okay, nothing overly fancy, right? This is normal looking, I think. That is not normal. Where did the stray Visual Studio go? There you are. I got you. Right? Okay. Okay, so now I got to think about this. How do we debug if debugger launch doesn't work? I know how we do this. We cheat. So, the code that is, the failure line of code from the unit test. So I'll have to check. So this is the only line of code that matters. Right? It's literally just running this. So, copy. We go over here to this guy because, believe it or not, I can start this guy. Right? Application run is a blocking call. Otherwise, if main exited, that would be a problem. But poof, and then we just launch with debugging. We need one last thing because that will succeed, but we need the load Xaml call, which is going to do this little bit of code. So we just go back over here into our program and we do this. So something about var app gets that, do that, and then let's see, await async void because that's never been a problem, and then I'm surprised. I sort of expected you to break out in hives when I typed async void.
I made a face, but you could see it.
That's true. Why is your video?
No,
It's bothering me.
I don't care about the video.
I know you don't. Okay, it may be delayed, but I can still do this. I kick the NDI on. Right? Boom. Boom. There. You may be delayed, but now I've got your NDI source. Ha. Okay, so we can do this. We can do this. And we actually don't even need... I don't even need that. If we get past this, I will deem this success. So, breakpoint, change startup project to this because this guy is now both a library and a startupable WPF app. Because what could possibly go wrong with this plan? Okay, start the app. I don't anticipate any problems. Okay. Oh, problems. 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 Ah, stop running. Stop running. You can't see my other screen, but the JIT let me just demonstrate. It'll probably show up here. If my scroll bar starts getting tiny, it's because it's spawning processes. Somewhat out of control, like...
Have you just fork bombed your computer in some manner? Not quite, but you get the idea.
And
the delete key works, by the way. So does E, I think.
I need to terminate whatever is spawning these processes.
This is going to be the most dramatic end to your stream ever.
You laugh, but there's a very real possibility here. Don't joke. What is spawning an unhandled exception in the Joe? I left the debugger call in there, and now it's just spinning. Okay. I need a terminal. Yesterday. Oh, I can't get a terminal. The JIT thing keeps popping on top. Oh. How do you task kill when you don't have a... I gotta find it in this list. I can't launch a terminal and type because the window keeps stealing focus. Oh, this is bad. This is very, very bad. Oh. Open to suggestions right about now.
I'm not sure I have anything productive to say, so I'm just here to watch your computer slowly melt.
This is sad. Oh. This is very, very sad. This is not supposed to happen. Okay. There's a spare VT test process running away with me. And I don't know where it is. And I gotta scroll until I get down to the next section without my processes getting out of hand, which I think we can conclude has already occurred. I'm now very happy I redid this. Oh, it's not here. Oh, where did it go? Oh, this is not a good thing. How do I terminate all of these processes? I need to get a hold of this. Oh, force rebooting may be a horrible way to end my stream right now, but... Oh, I wish I could just show you the pain and suffering on my other monitor as these windows just repeatedly spawn, 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 spawn.
I'm going to go back to how I started this stream and say this is the full debugging experience.
Try details tab. Thank you. I would look at... I can't quite see the username. My JIT debugger window is covering it up. But thank you for that. I'm also trying to just cancel out as many of these processes as possible, because there is at least some delay on it. I'm assuming the details tab is supposed to load at some point, is the hope.
Yeah, I'll test for you. Yeah, it works great on my computer. Lightning fast.
Normally Task Manager launches fairly quickly too, but given that I'm now seeing process IDs with 6 digits in them, that is not a good sign. Extremely rare view of struggling Task Manager. Yeah, that's about right. Oh, this is... Well, we've just demonstrated a very easy way to really
another bug.
Thank goodness I have Mountain Dew. This may end in a force reboot. That may ironically be the fastest way forward. I don't know of a better option. I hate to do this, but that might be my only choice.
You try to using like PowerShell, you just lose focus immediately.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to get... So, yeah, I'll try and demonstrate, right? So if I go over here... I can't even drag the window because new windows keep popping and stealing the focus. You'll note how this... Oh, details window loaded. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Down for V. Down for V. V will be here. Yeah, that's the problem, is trying to run terminals. I can't get focus to stay because the JIT debugging window keeps stealing focus, which is just amazing. And I'm trying to cancel a bunch of them to hopefully speed up Task Manager scrolling. When I find you, UVT test, I'm going and turning it off. I'm actually surprised. I'm trying to think of where the loop is that's causing this, because I don't know how it's restarting itself. That's what's interesting to me, because there is a debugger launch, but I don't know exactly. And run it from task manager. You can compose a command to kill processes. Yeah. So I wonder. Oh, I wonder. Can I get a run prompt up and get it? I wonder if I can type long enough inside my run prompt to get this to work. Hey, Kenny.
Yes.
Can you do me a favor?
Well, possibly.
Task kill space /f space im space vttest.exe. I'm wondering if you send that to me in chat, if I can copy and paste with the mouse and trigger that.
Oh, let's see. Task kill space /f imvte test. .exe.
Correct. VT tests, plural, just so we're clear.
I had missed that, so thank you.
And the problem is I got to get my Skype window out from behind these. I'm trying to see if I can get the Skype chat window open. I'm wondering if I can just copy and paste this into a run prompt and trigger it that way. Because in theory, mouse focus is maintained, which appears to be the case. Close. Okay. Okay, I think the command is running, or at least the run prompt triggered. What did you send me, Kenny? Task kill is one word. Try again.
Wow, dang it, you're so needy.
I pasted it, and
Do you even want the commands to work?
Hang on, I might be able to get it off. I might have gotten it off. Command window opened. I may have gotten it off. I can't tell if more are opening. It's sort of hard to tell if... No, we're still spamming. Okay, I think in the interest of time, I'm going to force reboot, and I will be back in a moment.